Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well, enjoying your Wednesday. It's back for another lunchtime show. We've got some transfer links, some transfer news coming out regarding the club, as well as some interesting insights into the manager, Enzo Maresca. Also, a little exit on one of our owners, Jonathan Goldstein. And we're also being linked not only with youngsters from abroad, but a couple of players, one or two players from the Premier League as well. Smash the like button if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel. You can also join the Chelsea Fan TV memberships and become a member of the channel. Big up to everyone watching. Let's get straight into it. So, for those of you who don't know, Chelsea yet again have been linked with more young players. And this is some information that's come out from none other than Ben Jacobs. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ben Jacobs today because we've actually had an interesting revelation. This is not totally new, so some of you may actually already know this, but there is some news to this that will surprise a lot of you, and it may change your outlook on how you look at some of the information that comes out from journalists. But anyway, let's get started on this. We've got Esteval is viewed as... let's have a look. Oh, God's sake. Can you see my screen, guys? Yeah. Esteval is viewed as a generational talent and expected to be a part of the first team straight away in the 25-26 season. Esteval's long-term aspirations to play as a number 10. Joe Shields and Alison Marines are now battling with Arsenal, Bayern and Barcelona for Gabriel Mec. So Gabriel Mec is one of the latest players on the Chelsea shortlist in terms of players we're looking at. Another youngster, presumably. If I'm totally honest, I don't know an awful lot about him. We're going to dive into who Gabriel Mec is, what his player profile is like, and why are Chelsea being linked with this player. So we're going to dive into that as well. Big up to everyone in the chat as well. Big up to RJ Saint. Big up to Tom. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for the kind words, RJ, as well, mate. And one of the really important things to establish when we're looking at these young players we're linked with is, can they make Chelsea better? That's what I'm always looking at. Will they improve Chelsea? Why are we signing these players? Do we have long-term aspirations for these players? Or is it purely, something to try and help short-term? And the answer, generally speaking, has always been long-term. We've never really addressed those short-term concerns, which is one of the reasons the comments from Todd Bowley was so strange, because he said that we're trying to balance the long-term and the short-term. I mean, that's just ridiculous. We haven't made any form of effort in the recent transfer window to address our short-term issues. You could argue that Pedro Neto and Jadon Sancho, they are relatively established. I can give you that. But as a whole, if you look at 90% of the signings we've made, we have done it based on potential. And even with those other players that we signed, like Neto, like Sancho, even Tosin to an extent, you're hoping that you're going to get more than what you actually saw at their previous clubs. Like if you would have seen Tosin play the way he played at Fulham at Chelsea, I don't think you're happy with that. If you see Neto play the way he played at Wolves at Chelsea, it's still not good enough, right? Because the output has to be higher, the level has to be higher, and ultimately you're expected to do more at a big club like this. And then you see Sancho as well had a great start and he's dropped off. So there are a number of things that can be improved on that in that respect. There's also another little update regarding that situation. You have where is it? It's a little bit lower down. So Chelsea have returned for Gabriel Mec. Talks continue over price, no agreement yet. The other clubs are on it too. So again, this comes back to Ben Jacobs. Now, one of the reasons we're going to take this with a pinch of salt, and I don't mean any disrespect to Ben Jacobs. I just have to say it for what it is. Ultimately, I'm just reporting what's out there anyway. Now, it has become public knowledge that Ben Jacobs is actually related to Jonathan Goldstein. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, you got Johnny here who put this photo in. Simon Phillips, who's also a famous writer for Chelsea, he said, now Goldstein, who I believe is a cousin of Ben Jacobs, was speaking about Chelsea. Now, if this is true, then this is not good for Ben Jacobs, because it shows that there is a clear bias towards the way that Chelsea is being reported. And ultimately, you could argue that a lot of the stuff coming from Ben Jacobs is PR based on this. And that's just based on what I'm seeing right now. I don't know Ben Jacobs. I haven't spoken to Ben Jacobs. We've had him on the channel plenty of times. He's come on with Gem and he's given us, reports as to the news, etc. So listen, I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt both ways. I don't even know if this is true. But if it is true, then you could argue that there's a little bit of bias in that. But I leave that for you guys. I mean, do you agree or do you disagree with what I'm saying there? Now, again, one of the players that we were just discussing was Gabriel Mec. This is an extremely young player. Again, we're not looking at old players. We're never going to look at any old players. Now, how old is Gabriel Mec, you may ask? And I will give you the answers. He is currently a Brazilian under-17 international. He's not an adult yet. He was born on the April 11th, 2008, which makes him 16 years old, according to Transfer Market. He's an attacking midfielder from Brazil. And over the course of his career, based on the records that are being shown to me, he's only made 22 appearances in senior football. I don't even know if that's senior football. That could be junior and youth as well. In fact, yes, that is including youth as well. So he's got the under-20s, and then I don't even know what that means. That's something in Brazil, presumably. So you got 22 games, 1,000 minutes of football. What is the price for that? We don't know what the offer has been, and we don't know what's been negotiated. I'm sorry, but that is a really, mate, what the fuck are we doing? The guy, I'm sure he's a good young talent. Let the man develop. We won't even let players grow facial hair before we try and sign him. Like, you can't even develop. The guy hasn't hit puberty, and we're trying to sign him. It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's get to know him. So we know he's 16 years old. He's an attacking midfielder. In total, he's played 22 games, and he's scored 4 goals, and he's got 1 assist. So 5 GA in 22. So on average, if he goes 3 more games, you're looking at 1 GA in every 5 games. Now, for me, I don't understand why this is such an interesting position to look at. I don't understand why this is the player profile that we're looking to sign. We have enough number 10s at this club. We're actually trying to get rid of the number 10s. We're stockpiling. This is all we're doing. We're stockpiling. So we have a young player here who clearly seems to have some sort of potential, but I don't really understand why, if I'm totally honest with you. I mean, what does this guy give you that you won't get from Esteval or Kendry Pires? Because you've got 2 young players there who are clearly very capable in their respective positions. So what's happening here? What's going on? I don't know if there's anything else that come on as well. I've been looking into it as well, but it just doesn't. I don't know. So okay, so is that who he plays for? Gremio. Yes, he plays for Gremio. Right. So the price that Chelsea are looking at is along the lines of, and this is according to Ben Jacobs, Gremio want 20 million or more and a significant sell-on. So this is one of the exclusives from Give Me Sports. We're going to read into it now. Let's go through it together. So, oh, for fuck's sake. Here we go. Share this tab instead. Right, here we go. Oh, you have to pay for it. You bastards. Last time I went on Give Me Sport, it was free. No way. Oh, that's so brutal. Damn. Okay. Sorry, guys. I can't share that one with you. But what we do know is simple. Gremio want 20 million and a significant sell-on. Several European suitors in the race. Mec in no rush to decide, but Gremio prefer to agree a deal in 2025. Now, before I even ask you in the chat, let's see what other people had to respond to this and what other Chelsea fans reacted. Chelsea Express said, so we will have Esteval, aka Neymar, and Mec, aka Ronaldo. This is next level PR. I fear the reality will be more Kennedy and Piazon. 20 million for an unproven 16-year-old. These South American clubs are taking the piss. Another stupid signing, says Srital. So generally speaking, from the Chelsea fan base, not an awful lot of optimism for this signing, and that's understandable as well because I don't really see it myself. The guy's 16, and I've just told you, in 22 games, he's scored 4 goals and got 1 assist. And half of that, over 50% of those games, 12 of them, were at under 20 level. So what gives you any idea or any justification that even at under 20 level, he plays 11 games, 12 games, and only gets 3 assists in 12, 3 GA in 12, 2 goals and 1 assist? Where is the basis for this guy to be the next big thing at Chelsea? Like, where does that come from? Because I don't understand it. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something here, guys. Maybe I am. I don't know. But I'm looking at Gabriel Mec right now, and I'm just seeing a relatively average young player. His stats are not mind-blowing. He's not even been playing in the senior team for that long. So what is the basis for him to be playing as regularly as, well, for him to even have a chance of playing for Chelsea? Like, he wouldn't get into Strasbourg's team. He's not good enough for Strasbourg. Forget Chelsea. Like, these stats and his age right now, if I was a championship side, I wouldn't look at Gabriel Mec. That's not me underestimating. The guy is clearly not developed in all senses. He's not old enough. He's not skilled enough. He's not got the experience. £20 million. I could justify buying Dewsbury Hall for 30 million more than I could for Gabriel Mec for 20. At least Dewsbury Hall is like a seasoned mid-table player or good championship player. I cannot justify what I'm seeing from Gabriel Mec. Now, maybe for whatever reason, you know, there's something really good about this player that I've missed. I don't know, and you can tell me that. I really don't know. If you go online, I mean, there's been a few complications about the player, but I'm not seeing whatever you got, whatever these journalists are seeing. I'm not seeing it. Anyway, let's see what you guys have to say. Buying Young, sending Strasbourg, then selling for profit. True, but I don't even see how this guy gets into the Strasbourg team. How does that make sense? Rory says, hi, Alex. The policy of buying young isn't necessarily bad. What is bad is when they're young and unknown rather than young and proven. Well, young and unknown can be a good thing, right? Because you can find gems that nobody else knew about. And that's one of the reasons our ownership have looked at what Brighton are doing and are impressed by it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I don't understand is if they're young and unknown and unproven, then it's different. There's got to be some sort of, how do you justify? Like, if I was the owner and I had 20 million to spend and a sporting director came up to me and said, right, this is how we're going to spend your 20 million. My opinion on that is, well, hang on a second. The guy's not even done that well in his own domestic league. What's going on here? So I wouldn't spend the money. What are you giving to me to show me that this player is even worthy of what I've just mentioned? Esteval will struggle in his first season. Chelsea fans will say we need a new signing in his position. Then he will come good the season after and we'll love him again. It's the story of what we do. I mean, I don't know. Esteval, the one thing that he has that other players don't have when they come to Chelsea, he actually has two things. The first thing is he's a goal scorer, a natural goal scorer who can play from out wide and score goals. That is impressive in itself, firstly. And the fact that he's doing it in the senior team and has done it quite consistently for a good amount of time, that's respectable. The second thing is he's two-footed. He can shoot with his left and he can shoot with his right. And to be quite frank, like if you look at a player like Dembele, for example, at PSG, when he was coming through the ranks, one of the reasons Barcelona signed him from Dortmund was because it just looks effortless and you wouldn't be able to tell. So defenders don't know how to position themselves because whether he goes down the line or cuts inside, he can still be just as dangerous on either foot. So he can either whip in a great cross or he can cut inside on his left or shoot on his right, etc. Now, if I'm not wrong, Esteval as well is quite a good free kick taker. He's good on set pieces. He's scored a couple of them this season. So to compare him, and I'm not saying that you are comparing him to Gabriel Mec. I'm not saying you are, but for people to compare that signing to what we're looking at with Gabriel Mec is totally different. Because Esteval was looked at in the same vein as oh god, who's the young player that Real Madrid signed? What's his name? Who's the young player that Palmeiras sold to Real Madrid that we were trying to buy as well? I can't remember his name. Oh god. Oh god, what's his name? Endrick. Yes, Endrick. So when Endrick signed for Real Madrid, even though he was so young, he was that good for his age that it doesn't matter. You're just signing a top player. And if you're performing at the under 21 level or the under 19 level, that is an indicator that you could be great when it comes to the senior men's game. That's an indicator, but it's not a certainty. It's never a certainty. You have some players who perform very well and then they struggle, which is totally fair. It's a more physical game. And from a tactical perspective and a mental perspective as well, you've got bigger crowds, a lot more pressure. It's understandable why a lot of those young players don't perform. So when we signed Esteval, it was similar to Real Madrid signing Endrick. We beat a lot of top teams for Esteval, and we deserve a lot of credit for that because he's a great signing. So again, take my hat off to whoever was in charge of recruiting him. But the question is, why is every player like that? And if that's the long-term project, then in 10 years, you'll see the players that were 18, turning 28. And then that is our spine. That is our experience, not because we brought it in, but because we developed it ourselves. That's the first option. And then the other option is that we just end up flipping these players for profit, which is also another viable option. And to be honest, based on Clear Lake's business plan, their model, it looks like that is the direction we're going to go in. But we're going to play devil's advocate and imagine that some of these players could end up staying at the club as well and having a future at Chelsea. Let's play devil's advocate. That's fine. Now, looking at Gabriel Mec, there's a few confirmation videos coming out. So clearly he's done something. Some people are comparing him to Neymar. They're saying he's got some good skills, etc., etc. Ronaldinho is another name that's been thrown around. Generational talent. I mean, goodness, there's a lot of scouts out there. I don't know, maybe they know more than I do. So let's have a look and let's react to what we're seeing, because there's only so much I can say based on stats. Sometimes you just need to watch this stuff in the flesh. All right, so he's quite skilled. Little flick. That's nice. He's so young, man. I don't understand it. He's not even playing in stadiums, and we're already being linked with this guy. Okay, nice dummy, nice fake there. That's beautiful. Oh, that's nice. I have to admit, that's good. Nice bit of skill there. Oh, beautiful. So is he left-footed or right-footed? Because as I'm looking at him now, he looks two-footed. He looks like he's left-footed. Again, another lovely flick. That was with his right foot as well. Little spread of the play. Rainbow flick. Oh, touch. Can someone tell me if this guy's left-footed or right-footed? He megged him. He's left-footed. He's got to be left-footed. Oh, double flick. Overhead kick. Damn. I'm just going to pause this briefly. Like, we just had a look at his stats. His stats only have 4 goals. Am I missing something here? Like, are these... Because I'm sure he scored more than 4 goals in this video now. So we're going past... we're going past the point of... This isn't even under 21s. This is like... It's not even under 20s. That's the stats go back to the under... This is like under 17s that we're watching. Our AI scouting based on hype and YouTube clips now. I mean, that's all we've got to work with, Stephen. We've got to work with what we have. We got nothing to work with here. Hope we're doing well, mate. Good to see you. Unique Africa says, I prefer Gabriel Mec to Esteval. I'm not sure why that is. Please help me understand that. Because from what I'm seeing, Gabriel Mec's stats are nowhere near what Esteval's were at the same age. Alex, what did you know that we are 1.4 billion net debt? Well, we loaned 1.2 billion and 500 million of that was from Ares Capital. And that is about 13 or 14% interest. So that will rise to 1.7 billion in 2033. And then we have another 700 million, from the banks. That's JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, I think. And that's about 4% interest. But that money can be loaned against the club. The 1.7 billion from Ares Capital has to be paid back before the money gets taken out by any of the owners if we were to sell the club. So that's what I know about the debt. Why would we need another young Brazilian with 4 GA in 22 games when Esteval is joining from Brazil and has 30 GA, which broke Neymar's record? This is exactly what I'm saying. I know it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So from that perspective, I really don't know what to tell you. Like I'm trying to understand. This is why we're watching a couple of clips, because I'm trying to understand what's so good about this player. Why are we looking at this player? You think Palmer and Esteval is going to cook next season? Teams are going to have to decide whether they want to double on Palmer or Esteval, which will benefit whoever isn't being teamed on. Fair enough. Fair play. Just come on, been on Charlie's live. Hi, Alex. Hey, Rachel. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you back on the stream. Ren says, yeah, I think I just read that one. Hey, Alex, are you going to Copenhagen for an away day? Absolutely. My flight is at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I'm flying back on Friday morning. No, sorry. Wrong time. 11 o'clock tomorrow, flying back at Friday, 6 a.m. So not much sleep when I'm in Denmark, but I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can. Right, let's continue this. Let's see what we're looking at. He's an intricate footballer, isn't he? He's a good player. But I'm much more interested with what happens when he's playing in a stadium with crowds watching him. It's totally different when you're playing. He's not playing in a park. I know that. He's playing on a pitch, but there's barely anyone watching as opposed to, what would happen in these stadiums. So at least this is a stadium, what I'm seeing there. The level's just higher. I skipped away well. But then it almost reminds you of João Felix in a way, right? Because you've got a player who can skip past people. He's obviously capable of doing that. But you're not seeing a lot of end product. You're not seeing a lot of goals and assists. The guy's only 16. Again, I have to take it with a pinch of salt. I'm playing devil's advocate here. You've got one side, which is, okay, he's obviously a skilled individual. He's being rated very highly. And you've got another side, which is bloody hell, like 20 million for this guy. That's a joke. Why don't you just put an extra 20 on 60 and you got 80 million to buy a top striker, which will actually help us address our short-term issues. It's a nice goal. Not make the keeper there. He's clearly a good player, but I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm impressed with this signing, because I could honestly look up most players and get pretty good confirmations of those players. You have over 1,000 minutes of playing time from this player, and we're extracting 5 minutes. I'm sure that that's not actually that difficult to do. He's going to have 5 minutes out of 1,000 where he can do some cool stuff. But look, he looks like a fun player to watch, doesn't he? Still not fully aware if he's left-footed or right-footed though. So he looks right-footed there, but I'm generally not sure. Yeah, we're learning stuff on here, learning as we go. Who knows? Who knows, honestly? Right. So I think we can all agree that Gabriel Mec is not a great signing based on what we need at the moment and what we're seeing within the club. We need some short-term fuel. Yeah. It's like you're driving. Let's just say this. You're in America. You're in the desert. You've got a fuel tank. Are you going to take, I don't know, how many liters of petrol can you, I don't even drive. Let's just say your car can have 50 liters of petrol, of fuel, right? But it goes, if you keep driving on 10 liters, eventually you'll get 60 litres or 70 litres of petrol. But you don't really know if you're even going to be able to last off those 10 litres. Because how far have you got to go? Maybe you have to push for an extra 15 on top of that. Car's going to break down. Thinking so much about what could happen sounds great, but actually we just need what we need now. We're not addressing the issues that we have at the moment. And that's where we go back to squad balancing, and balance has been a key word throughout multiple parts of this season. This has been a word that's been mentioned from Maresca many times. This has been something that Todd Bowley mentioned as well, talking about having a balancing act with regards to addressing the short term and the long term. He feels the trend is going well. It's a good trend, really. Not sure I agree with that, my friend. I'm no trader, but if you're talking about markets, and I know Todd Bowley and they all like their markets, you got a bear market and you got a bull market. And I think Chelsea right now are approaching our bearish stage, which means we're plateauing / going down this season. We had our period when we were going up, and now people are starting to sell the stock. We've sold our own stock. Fucking hell, we did that in January. It's not even a bad reference when you put it like that. So, yes, I'm going to say from me, it's a thumbs down. Gramea want 20 million and a significant sell on. The fact that they want a significant sell on top of that fee as well makes it even less attractive, because the whole idea of us being able to flip this player on for a profit in the future, that's literally our business plan. That's Chelsea's model. So if you're not allowing Chelsea to do exactly what they want to do anyway, so we're going to do it and make 5 million, 10 million less than we would irrespective, it just seems like a pointless deal. It seems like we're penny pinching and we're risking big amounts of cash that could be invested on players in the first team. But we're not addressing those issues. We're not addressing those issues at all, and that's extremely concerning. So, yeah, that's my stance on that. Really, really not a massive fan of what I'm seeing there. But, hey, anything can change. You never know. Something could pop up. And, we could be in a much better position later down the line. Some of these players could turn out to be club legends. We just don't know it yet. So if you stick around for 10 more years, when Gabriel Mec is 26 years old, maybe he'll actually have some minutes at Stamford Bridge. Who knows? Because they'll probably get him to sign a 12-year deal anyway. So that's one thing. In terms of other updates for the club, we are being linked with another player, a former Chelsea player as well. Chelsea remain interested in Mark Guéhi. He's a Polish leader, established international, and is entering the final year of his contract and has only missed 13 matches in 3.5 years. And that is a lovely sign, because unlike Fofana, this is a player who doesn't get injured. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Listen to that again. A player who doesn't get injured. He's only missed 13 matches in 3.5 years. I don't know how many matches he's played in 3.5 years. In the Premier League, what? You got 38 matches a season. You got 2 cup games if you're Crystal Palace as well, maybe a couple of pre-season games, and you'll have a couple of years where you go further in the cup. So we'll just say, for the sake of this, we'll say 45 times 3 minus 13. So out of 135 games that Mark Guéhi could have played, he played 122, which means he only missed 13. 122 out of 135 games. Imagine if we could say the same thing about Fofana, or about Reece James, or Lavia. All of those players, Madueke, whoever it is. Wouldn't it be nice to just have players who are available? And again, this is a signing that I would absolutely compliment. People talk about our lack of standards and the fact that we're signing young players. So interesting that you say Mark Gee, Rory, so you like Mark Gee, but you don't see him as a top elite UEFA Champions League winning centre-back. I don't know, maybe someone could justify, but I just don't see it, especially when Palace want 60 or 70 million for him. But they won't get 60 or 70 million for him, Rory. They won't get it. And that's exactly why we are waiting, and we didn't make this signing in the summer or in January. This is exactly why, because they're not going to get 60 or 70 mil. They're not going to get it. And he's running his contract down. He's got no intention of signing a new deal. I'm fully aware of that. This is a guy who, when he played at the Euros, was one of our best players on the biggest stage of them all in terms of European football at international level. He is perfectly capable of coming into Chelsea's team. And I'm going to say this now, he will be Chelsea's best centre-back out of all of them when he's fit, including Fofana when he's fit. And you could potentially have the duo of Mark Guiu and Mark Guihi and Fofana. You could play him with Cowell as well. He gives you that stable head, and he's a leader, and he's experienced in the Premier League, and he doesn't have the injury prone sides to him. The only thing that may fall out of our favour, and this is really a Chelsea problem, not a general problem, is the wages. If he wants 200 grand a week, it's going to be very difficult, based on the wage cap we currently have, to get him to buy into our current system. Now, if it's incentivized and you push him to 150 grand a week, bearing in mind you're going to shift some players on, hopefully Ben Chilwell, Raheem Sterling, you do have space for that money. That money is already being spent anyway on players who aren't even at the club right now. So I think this is a deal that can certainly happen. I think it's a deal that can happen for around 40 or 50 mil. I don't think it needs to be 60 or 70. I disagree with that. And then you bring up a great point. Don't forget we have the 20% sell on too. So again, let's just, for whatever we have, if we were to sign him for a certain amount, because of our sell-on clause, we still save money on him. So whatever we pay for him, we get 20% off of that anyway. And if they were to sell him to another team, we get 20% of that fee. So it's in our best interests to sign this player, knowing that we're going to basically get a 20% discount. That's what's going to happen. We're going to get a 20% discount off of this player. And we'll go from there. But I think you're right. I think it is 20%. Steve says, Alex, who was the guy that replaced you the other day? Darmesh. He's good. Yeah, he's quality, man. He's a good guy. Darmesh is going to be doing more stuff on the channel. He's been around for a little while, but he didn't really know if he wanted to do it. And now he said he wants to do more. So, yeah, Darmesh is going to be jumping on more. I'm glad you liked him. You would love to be proven wrong. I hope we get him cheap and goes on for big things. Absolutely. Even though we don't agree on a lot of stuff, I must admit I love your passion, my guy, and I was always tuned into this channel. Respect. Thank you so much, Kems. I appreciate the message, mate. That's very kind of you. But yeah, so Mark Guihi, when we look at this player, what does he actually have to offer? So we've just gone off of one thing, which is his availability, his ability to be available. One of the most underrated stats, whatever you want to call it, in football is the ability to be available. Now, if we look on Transfer Market, this is what I use to reference a lot of players. It's a really nice website. Here is Mark Guihi. So this is this season so far. Now, when we look at him, he is only 24. All right. And he fits into our structure. All right. He's young enough that he'll be about 25 when we sign him. Still have plenty of room for growth. And God forbid we wanted to sell him in 3 years' time, we could still get a good fee for him. If that is the model, I fucking hope it's not. But if that was the model, yeah. He starts for Crystal Palace 90% of the time, and he plays 96% of minutes. 6 yellow cards in 26, no red cards. He's got good discipline in that respect. 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 GA in 26 for a centre-back is quite good, if you ask me. Now, I'm not sure where those goals come from, whether it's from set pieces or anything like that. This is the history of the player, obviously progressing throughout Chelsea's youth system. in the under-18s, the under-23s, coming into the main side and then going on loan to Swansea before coming back to Chelsea, eventually going to Crystal Palace for a transfer fee. I never agreed with that deal. I never understood it. I actually think at that time he was good enough for Chelsea anyway. And yeah, this is what we've got so far this season. So in the Premier League, 26 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. He's played 3 games in the FA Cup, 4 in the Carabao. So for me, this is absolutely what we want to be looking for. And you compare that to the contrary of this, what we're seeing with Gabriel Mec. Look at this. Look at the difference, guys. Look at the difference. Look at the minutes. Look at the experience. This is all seasons for Gabriel Mec. He's played 22 games in all seasons at the higher level. Look, we're not talking about under 17s here. This is going under 20s as a bare minimum. And then you've got a couple of games in the first team. 22 games as opposed to 33 just this season. Do you understand why? I hope this makes it more clear as to why Mark Guéhi, I always buck up the name. This is why he is a player that we should be focusing more than Gabriel Mec. I saw the complimation. I've seen the skills. Fair play to the man. He can do a few rainbow flicks. I think we need a little bit more than that. Have we not already proven that by bringing in João Felix, only to loan him out to AC Milan straight after? And by the way, that loan's going terribly. Apparently the Italians are not a fan of him. In the papers, they're saying that he was a ghost in the last game, one of the worst players on the pitch. And there is zero chance in hell that they are going to trigger a £45 million transfer for the player, let alone even attempt at this rate based on how it's going so far. So, yeah, for me, Mark Guéhi is definitely a player that we need to keep our eye on. And, we just need some defensive stability. If you look at the goals that Chelsea have conceded, it's just, I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. Like, how you can concede so many goals. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Obviously, I appreciate that. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things, isn't it? Your team's not that great. You've got to learn to live with it. But ultimately, I do think that we've got more to offer in this team. And with a solid defense, it will take a little bit of pressure off of our attackers as well. Because right now, people are going, and myself included, I'm saying that Palmer needs to do more. He's not being utilized as much. He's not as good as he was last season. But if you give if you have a good defensive record, it takes the pressure off of these guys. And then you're not talking about scoring 3 or 4 every game. When was the last time? I had this debate towards the beginning of the season. I think it was after we beat Wolves 6-2 or something like that. I said, guys, scoring goals is never going to be our problem. And I still don't think it's our problem, just so you know. We should be scoring more. We should be creating more as well, especially at the moment. So absolutely, we can improve. But I don't think it's our key issue. Yeah, we need a striker. And with a striker, our problems are solved straight away. Now, but with a defender or a good defense, full stop, we're going to be in a position where we can play badly and still grind out results. Now, we played badly against Southampton and we beat them 4-0, but they're the worst team in the Premier League. Actually, there's a debate that they're the worst Premier League team in history. Now, that's quite a feat. I don't know if that's really... I don't know if there's any truth to that. I know that they've got to get another win to be equal on points with Derby, because I think they're on 9 and the lowest tally was 12. But from a Chelsea standpoint, having a solid defender in there like a Silva, I think that would make the world of difference. And coming into this crucial time in the season where we are now in a position as a club where we need to get that consistency. If it's not consistent goals, give me consistent clean sheets. Also, the goalkeeper comes into this as well, because no matter how anyone plays, there seems to be a fuck up from the keeper. And I mean, we spoke about that on another show. I did a video about what strategies we could do with our goalkeepers as well. Petrovic has to come back next season. He has to be our number one. You got to get rid of Sanchez at all costs. It doesn't matter if you have to pay someone else to take him. Get rid of Sanchez. Kepa needs to go. He's got no interest in being at Chelsea. And then you are left with Mike Penders, Jorgensen. You got Slanina as well. And those are some options. So I think Jorgensen goes to Strasbourg, and then you keep Mike Penders at Chelsea potential. Maybe you loan him out again domestically, like you've done with Slanina. Who knows? It could be something along those lines. So that's where we are as a club at the moment. We're in a position where some small changes would actually make a big difference. And when we talk about those small changes, that is a big difference on our transfer policy and our model. And what we're talking about with Gabriel Mec, that is exactly what you would expect from Chelsea. If we were talking about this 2 years ago, we'd almost be impressed, because you see this modern sort of forward-thinking approach, thinking about the future, thinking about the next generation of players. And we're looking at that and we're going, okay, but what about now? The guy's 16, for fuck's sake. He's not going to play for us for at least 4 years. How long is his contract going to be? 8-year deal? Maybe. There's a good chance it will be. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? So from that perspective, that would be a priority. Now, I just want to finish up. We're going to finish the last sort of 15, 10 minutes of the show on something that I'm fully aware of and fully expected, and it doesn't surprise me at all, to be honest with you. Sources at Chelsea insist on this point. Maresca is untouchable, a key part of the project, with the club very happy to continue with him no matter what happens in the final months. Owners, managers, players all trust him. It's very different to Pochettino. Now, it's only very different to Pochettino in one respect. Owners. The players always trusted Poch. Okay, Pochettino won over the players. But the people he was working with up above, the directors, they wanted to bully the guy. You're not a manager, you're a coach. Pochettino said that as well. And ultimately, let's be real, they fucked up. They fucked up because they brought a guy in and they sold him a project that they could never actually deliver on. I think if Pochettino knew that this was going to happen, he would have never taken the job in the first place. And then you got Maresca, who's untouchable. Why? Because he doesn't challenge anything. The guy doesn't even have a fucking opinion. But that's fine. That's part of the model, isn't there? We don't have managers in modern day football. There are some teams that still have managers. What do I mean by that? I mean, they run multiple aspects of the club. They're looking at the transfers. They've got an input in terms of the players that come in, the players go out, the day-to-day runnings of the club. These are all things. When you look at Liverpool, they have a coach. When you look at Arsenal, they have a manager, in my opinion. I think Arteta's more than just a coach. I think he's a manager. Man City with Pep Guardiola, a coach, but he has a huge input. Yeah. If he doesn't want to sell someone, then they don't go. They listen to him. Newcastle have a manager with Eddie Howe. He knows how to run a football club. Aston Villa with Emery, manager. Thomas Frank, he's a manager. And Chelsea have a coach. So that's the difference. We were looking for a coach. We hired managers. And that's what they wanted. So fair play to them. And I'm not going to bang on too much about Maresca. Everyone knows how I feel about him. I think if he gets us into Champions League, he deserves a lot of credit. And he'll get that from me. Do I think he'll do it? I think he can. But I don't think he will. But he certainly can. We went through this the other day. We're on 46 points. Now, based on the history of the Premier League table in the past, in, I think, 4 out of the past 5 seasons, in order to finish 5th, you need to have at least 66. In one of those seasons, you needed 69. So if we're going to explore the possibility of being as safe as possible, we need 23 points from the last. I think that's 23 points out of 36. That means that we have to beat a number of teams. We have to beat. In fact, I'll pull it up for you so you can see it. I mean, the next couple of games coming in, those are like absolute must wins. If we don't win those games, we're in trouble. Copenhagen is irrelevant in this argument, to be fair. So we have to beat Leicester. We could afford a loss against Arsenal, based on my prediction. We have to beat Tottenham. We could draw against Brentford. We have to beat Ipswich. We have to beat Fulham. We have to beat Everton. And then that leaves 4 points from the last 4 games. So the question is, where do these points come from? Now, the argument, in my perspective, I think you're looking at 3 games. I think you're looking at Liverpool. I think you're looking at United. I think you're looking at Forest. I think we lose to Newcastle away from home. Our track record at St James's Park has been shocking. The last time we won there was when we beat them 3-0 with Tuchel. I was at that game. Reece James scored 2 goals. Brilliant performance. But yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't see that happening again. Why do I think we can get something against Liverpool? Because they could have actually already won the league by the 3rd of May. So I'm banking on the fact that they'll actually rest players going into the Chelsea away fixture, and they'll be focused on, cup competitions. Actually, I say that they're out of the FA Cup. They got the Carabao Cup before the 3rd of May. Well, Champions League then. I'm hoping that they're banking on Champions League football or something like that. I don't know. And they're resting more players. Or they're just more relaxed. You've won the league, great, happy days. And then Manchester United, I'm banking on a draw, to be honest, because we always seem to draw against United. I know we beat them 4-3 last season. I don't think we're going to have anywhere near as exciting a game as we did last year. I think that's looking like a 1-1 game. And then Nottingham Forest, for me, is that's going to be a huge game. That could come right down to the wire, because whoever wins that game, that could be the difference between them getting Champions League football or not getting Champions League football. And from a mental perspective, there's 2 sides to it. There's the side of Chelsea, which is we have that mental edge over Nottingham Forest. We wouldn't let them beat us at Stamford Bridge, and we managed to beat them last season, and that was what propelled us into European football. Forget Europa League, which is European, although we were in a Europa League space. But then you've got the perspective, which is Nottingham Forest. Now, what does that mean? That means you are looking for revenge. You remember what happened at the end of last season. You know that this season you've got Chelsea's number. You've been ahead of Chelsea pretty much most of the time, especially in the second phase of the season, providing that we don't overtake them already. Actually, I take that back. We've been ahead of Forest quite a bit. So relatively even in that respect. And yeah, you know that you've got the home crowd on your side. Forest have a really good home atmosphere. One of the best in the Premier League. Absolutely love their home atmosphere. If you haven't seen their home atmosphere, it's honestly unbelievable. I'll show you. This is when we played Nottingham Forest last season. Listen to this, guys. Not this bit. Great atmosphere, isn't it? Cracking atmosphere. I love Nottingham Forest away. Also, shout out to Hooters. Nottingham seem to have the only Hooters in the whole country, if I'm not wrong. Hooters UK. I think that maybe there's one in. I don't know think it comes up. Oh, there's 3. 3 Hooters. It's going to Newcastle. Wow. Oh, wow. They've got 2. They've got one in Liverpool and one in Nottingham. Newcastle away. Sorted. Brilliant. So there you go. If you're going to the Nottingham Forest game as well, Hooters. That's where it's at. Although I won't be going, obviously, because I've got a girlfriend. So I won't be going to Hooters. Right, last 5 minutes. Let's do a little Q&A, guys. Any questions, let me know down below. Let's have a chat. Only 2 of Gabriel Mec's games were against adults. There you go. So that just, it's so strange. What the fuck are we? 20 million? 20 million. Can you believe that? Criminal, the amount of money they're asking for. I'd reject that straight away. I wouldn't even negotiate. What are you talking about? You think Bayern or Arsenal or Barcelona are going to pay that? No way. Roy says, I'm from Australia and down to miss a game with majority on at 3 a.m. When watching on TV, Stamford Bridge seems quite toxic, especially when Jorgensen is on the ball. As a match goer, is it that bad? Listen, it's not to do with Jorgensen. It's not to do with Jorgensen. It's because people keep passing backwards. That's why it can be toxic at times, because you just say, like, can you please pass the ball forwards? And then they end up giving it back to the goalkeeper. So that's one of the reasons for that. Nikon Sanchez says, I've seen Gabriel Mec's game in Gremio, and I think he's a very important player. Fair enough. If you think about it, the attack is still weak. Gabriel Mec has a higher value than Madueke, Mark Gu. You have no basis for that. There's nothing from any perspective that can make me believe that. Madueke has more to offer than Gabriel Mec. I'm sorry. When the guy's got more than 5 GA in 22 games, only 2 of them are against adults, then we can have a different conversation. How come Maresca can say he is happy with the project? We had a terrible transfer window. We're only bringing in young, non-talented players. The only good business is Esteval Willian. Well, he's happy because he has no control. And as long as he has no control and he doesn't complain, the club will continue to back end Maresca. Kem says, I do like Maresca. I think he's going to be a top manager. Fair play to you. I hope it works out. I really do. If he finishes well, he's going to get a lot of praise from me. Absolutely. To be honest, Alex, I think Chelsea need to stop sacking board and managers and members of the backroom staff. We will go nowhere if sackings keep going the way they are. Give Maresca that time. We aren't Watford, for fuck's sake. Fair play to you, mate. Listen, my stance was exactly that last season. And what that showed to me is that we didn't really believe in our project. So the people that hired Poch were stupid. And the fact that they brought him in the first place and then didn't back him, I thought that was poor. So if they want to do that with Maresca, fair enough. But I just think I just think it's strange, mate, because Maresca has nothing to show that he will get us further than what we had last season. And he is working with a bet squad. So he has more advantages. He has more stability. I don't know, man. We'll see. Jordan says, if he doesn't get us in the Champions League this season, it'll be an embarrassing and a disgrace. I completely agree. Winning the Conference League and qualifying for the Europa is a progression in the club's eyes, but as a Chelsea, as Chelsea Football Club, it's not, as we need Champions League, as that's where we belong as a club. Yeah, the truth is it is a progression, but it's like, it's pathetic, man. It's like saying, I went from finishing, well, it is literally that. It's going, I went from finishing, let's just say we finished 7th last year, because that would have been a Conference League place. It's like saying I went from 7th to 6th. It's like, really? Is that the level that we're at now? Maybe. Careful, Copenhagen had a good run against Man United last year, so we have to respect them. Yeah, respect to Copenhagen. Listen, we've got a Copenhagen preview later on, which Lewis will be doing at 7 o'clock UK time, so jump on for that one. We need to win against Ipswich. That's a must, and Everton as well. I completely agree. Lewis Hall is out for the rest of the season, and Gordon is suspended for the next 2 Premier League games, and Isak is a doubt. Forest didn't look good against Ipswich. 1-1 in 120 minutes isn't great. It is a positive for us in the sense that Forest is still in this cup competition, though, because the more minutes they play in the cup, the more tired they will hopefully be in the league, and then they can drop points there. That's what I'm hoping for. What do you think about Esteval Willian coming to Chelsea, Alex? I think that's a great signing, so I've got no problems with it. If you could get back one manager, who would it be? Mine would be TT. I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Thomas Tuchel, 100% of the way. Post Mourinho, the best manager Chelsea have had, arguably, ever, to be quite honest with you. When given the facilities to be able to make the team play the way we played, I've never seen us play so well, to be honest with you. Yeah. With regards to the striker, Steve, listen, man, we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the summer. I'm praying that we can get someone sorted, even if it's Delap. I think Delap is actually good enough, but he's not as good as Gorkarez or Osman, so we'll have to see what happens. Guys, really appreciate your time. Smash the like button if you haven't already. We've got 63 people in the building. If you haven't smashed the like button, please do. It helps the channel out. It shows that you're enjoying the content. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And if you fancy supporting in another way, you can join Chelsea Fan TV as a member. We have a membership, so check that out in the description, and you can choose to support the channel in that way as well. All the best, guys, and we will catch up very soon. There will be an evening show at 7 o'clock this evening, hosted by Lewis. So we'll be previewing the Copenhagen game. All the best, guys, and we will catch up very, very soon.